Sanji. Cauliflower Vinsmoke. He was one of the most beloved characters in One Piece for years, but then a certain time skip happened. In a story where action is a heavy hitter, Sanji didn't have the ability to win an important fight on his own, only through tag teams or surprise attacks. But hey, he still has his wacky woman obsession, right? Well, it turns out that whole obsessed with beautiful women trope died in the early 2000s and hasn't been really funny since. Oh, but who cares about the constant humor at his expense? How about his personality? Well, aside from Punk Hazard and Dressrosa, the well-mannered chef doesn't really have a chance to be mature or have character development. Now hold your horse, you tell me, even though I don't have a horse. You can't just ignore Whole Cake Island. That was the Sanji arc, man. How can you say such a bold lie about Sanji never getting character development? You're right, and I'm sorry. I should have rephrased that. He may have received character development, but he sure as hell didn't keep it. Welcome to the Sanji Conundrum. This is honestly one of the hardest scenes I've ever had to script. This is like the 9th time I rewrote this scene because we could have done this in 2 ways. The first way was going over Sanji's history since the time skip to figure out when he started to degrade as a character for me. The other way was talking about the assassination of Sanji's character at the end of Whole Cake Island. Now the history route would have led to Whole Cake Island, but I think it takes away the focus from one of my least favorite moments in the entire series. So instead of doing a play-by-play essay of said history, I'm just going to be as brief as I absolutely can so we can get to that moment faster. That being said, I will without a doubt make some people mad about this. Maybe Sanji is perfect the way he is and shouldn't have development. He doesn't need to change. He should be the same character forever, just like Luffy and the rest of the crew. That's the thing though. Sanji today is not the same as Sanji from the past. In fact, he had a moment where he was a better character than most of the crew, but no, it was thrown out the window and left to die crippled and broken! I'm getting ahead of myself. Back in the day, he was arguably the 3rd strongest Straw Hat, chef extraordinaire, gentleman at heart, but had also enrolled in the Master Roshi School of Romance. His legs-only combat style mixed with a personality that could literally burst into flames was fantastic, and even though he had a cliché approach to women, there was always this sense of maturity and sharp wit to him thanks to Zeph. It was like, yeah, I could be a helpless romantic, but I'll never be helpless myself. You might be thinking, wait a second, that sounds like Sanji nowadays, right? Well, yes and no. The traits might be there, but the heart of the character, along with him being treated like an actual character, to me, is gone now. What we have now is a walk-in punchline for romance gags that has 1 or 2 moments per arc to remind us, oh yeah, he can be cool. Only problem with that is that those cool moments are often overshadowed by those romance gags or beatdowns at his expense. Remember when Sanji was taken seriously? He had a good start when the time skip happened, but Fishman Island made Sanji practically useless until it was time for the big Marvel movie style mob fight. Punk Hazard to many nerfed Sanji since he couldn't beat Virgo. I personally wasn't turned off by that since Virgo was a monster in his own right. If it takes a reality-shaping room to beat you and your literal plot armor, I can forgive Sanji for not taking a W and ending the fight in a borderline draw. But again, to many, this was a blow to Sanji. Then came Dressrosa. Aside from a few nice things said to Violet or Viola given your name preference, Sanji became a punishment bag to both her and Doflamingo. Some people are still pissed that Sanji couldn't do better against Doflamingo, and I'm sorry to go on another tangent, but do you remember how much of a beast Doflamingo was? He took a Red Hawk, Gamma Knife, and 2 rounds of Gear 4 to his body, and he still got up to fight some more. I'm just impressed that Dofi recognized Sanji's power. That's one of the highest forms of compliments Black Lake ever received. So I hope you understand why it makes no sense to me that people slander Sanji for not being able to put up too much of a fight against Doflamingo when he was in his preferred turf, the sky, where his streams had full reign. Anyway, it didn't matter how realistic this was yet another blow to Sanji's character, reputation, whatever you want to call it. For as long as the time skip that's happened, Sanji hasn't gotten a moment to shine other than gags. If I wanted to see someone be a walk-in punchline while doing a cool thing or 2 here and there, I'd watch Usopp, not Sanji. He's better than this. Now, my headcanon believes that Oda was intentionally dragging Sanji through the dirt so that his payoff in Whole Cake Island stood out even more. I mean, get in your obligatory fantastic backstory, followed by overcoming your cyborg Nazi family, a two-sided bride that wants you dead, and her mother that is a freaking Yonko? Yeah, play those cards right and you have something, or rather someone, fantastic. So long as the Whole Cake Island arc made Sanji the priority while finally giving him the personal victory he deserves, you can have something very special, and why am I building this up? You all know what happens next. Loss after loss after loss. One of the most valuable things I ever learned in a film class I took in college is that there's an A and B formula to every story. It's a cycle where something good happens or is established, immediately followed by conflict. This will repeat until the end of the story. It's such a simple structure that, again, every story has this. It's important to have a back and forth to keep interest up. If you have a story that only has good things happen and there's no conflict, it's going to be too boring. My teacher's example was the Looney Tunes. If Daffy Duck or whoever else didn't challenge Bugs Bunny physically or mentally, you would just have a cartoon of Bugs sitting there eating a carrot. I mean, I would pay to see that, but I'm weird, so whatever. And then there's your story where nothing but bad things happen. If that's the case, your story is too depressing and doesn't offer any room for thought, hope, or complexion. Imagine a version of Star Wars Episode 4 where Luke stayed on the farm, Han and Chewie got shot on the Death Star, Leia died from torture, Obi-Wan gets cut down, and the rebels are destroyed. What happens now that the bad guys win? Well, nothing. They would just enjoy galactic slavery. And a good game of space ping pong, I don't know. In fact, the movie Megamind, where the villain does win, has its own A and B story structure because it knows how to be engaging. The stories that can take the back and forth formula and twist them into something unexpected and creative are a rare treat. In terms of Sanji, since the New World happened, his personal story has been nothing but a B-focused life. And in Whole Cake Island, there's no payoff for Sanji. Standing up to his family, it was set up when Sanji was ready to fight his brothers and was ready to denounce Judge as his father, but he didn't do that on his own merit and couldn't follow through. It took being cornered by Big Mom and having his family utterly defeated did Sanji then get the courage to say, "You suck and I hate you." That payoff wasn't earned because Sanji didn't do the work. He didn't make his family sorry or make them realize what they did was wrong. It was done for him by a hungry, bloodthirsty, magical witch pirate. Remember how I mentioned at the beginning that action was a huge part of this story? Well, Sanji doesn't win any fights. He only beat Luffy because Luffy didn't fight back. Sanji got a surprise blow on Bobbin and Oven, but neither one was really taken out for good. Mentioned before, Sanji couldn't fight his brothers and never had the chance to top his father. When it was time for Luffy's escape, Sanji had to be rescued multiple times. He was practically taken down by fodder. I really wished Sanji had a chance to have his own solo duel. Hell, give me Sanji versus Katakuri or some other Big Mom commander. Don't give Luffy all the important character establishing fights in your so-called Sanji arc. Now, some people say that Sanji's mission was to make the cake for Big Mom, and yes, it is impressive that Sanji was able to beat Big Mom's hunger tantrum. But if that alone is seriously his one feat in his own arc, then that would piss me off. And I know this because it did piss me off! The ending and focus of Whole Cake Island was given to Luffy. There was no resolution to Sanji's struggles. I mean, there was kinda, but not really. To understand this, we have to look at the star of this hate herself, Puddin. Now, we can all say whatever we like about Puddin. Was she a bipolar mess of a character, or a character mixed with her devil fruit makes one of the more fascinating characters in terms of psychology? The jury is still out on that, apparently, as there are plenty of people who love Puddin and plenty of people who find her annoying with her constant mood switches rather than being consistent tonally. I think she's the perfect match for present-day Sanji because Puddin is subject to romance gags at her expense too. They truly are a good couple, all jokes aside. I could see it happening, but this is where the sheep hit the fan. I can look past the family drama, I can look past the no fight steal. At the core of Sanji's character, especially in this arc, was a man that could push past his troubles and win the hearts of those who could possibly care for him. It also helped that by the end, Puddin and Sanji were a legit couple. They looked out for each other like a husband and wife. If Sanji left Whole Cake Island with that change in relationship, I think something awesome could have happened. But it didn't! Puddin erased Sanji's memories, thus eradicating any and all character development that he had received. A woman he could love? Nope! In the next arc, he's peeping on women all Jiraiya style. His emotional turmoil with his family where he was ready to toss out his own raid suit? It's kind of addressed when he actually puts it on in Wano, but the moment itself feels rushed for what should be a very powerful moment for his character. Chapter 902, aka the end of Whole Cake Island, felt like a reset button was pressed. Sanji could have his backstory, but any advancement made in character is gone. Wouldn't it have been amazing if Sanji finally stopped going after every beautiful woman he gazed at? He could still admire them or stop short before going full anime perv, but he could then realize that he has a woman that is actually married to him waiting somewhere else. Wouldn't his so-called knighthood and manners come full circle then? But we can't have that! No, let's just have him gawk at every woman and make a bad comedy, because lols! I can fully understand that not every character, even in the main cast, will be created equal. Just look at Bleach or Naruto. It's full of characters that have amazing stories to tell, but they're pushed aside for at least 2 of them, and at most, a handful. I wish more stories had the Full Metal Alchemist approach where everyone is important and has some role to play. They're people working off of other actual people. In One Piece, it's more like a clash of personalities. The best characters in One Piece aren't even mostly part of the crew because these characters have more to offer than just the cool swordsman or the sexy thief or the I'm Goku trope. This is what pisses me off more than anything, because Sanji was set up to be one of those characters who could break out of a shell and become someone better. But that's not the case. Instead of staying out of his shell, he was pulled right back in. And now we will likely not see a change like this again until the end of One Piece, where Sanji and Puddin reunite. The Sanji Conundrum, in and of itself, is trying to figure out how a beloved character went to Laughingstock, and then got redeemed, and even better, only to be a joke again. I will always respect Oda for his story alone, but in terms of Sanji, this is one choice I can never get behind. Let me know how you feel about Sanji down below. Do you like him, hate him, wish he did more, wish he did less? Here's to hopefully that one day Sanji can don his old suit again and kick Im-sama in the face. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you legends next time. Take care.